Hello, solving a code war problem on formatting words into sentence. And so here's a problem. It's a 6 KYU ranked problem. So you can imagine it's not too hard, not too simple as well, somewhere in between. So here's a statement of the problem. Complete the method so that it formats a words into a single comma separated value. The last word should be separated by the word and instead of a comma. Okay. The method takes in an array of strings and returns a single formatted strings. Empty string values should be ignored, and empty arrays or null or nil values should values being passed into the method should result in an empty string being returned. Okay, so couple of points on the problem statement. The arguments to the method is an array of strings and returns a single formatted string, and empty string should be ignored. So we have to code accordingly so that all the empty strings are ignored, and empty arrays or null and nil values being passed into the method should result in an empty string. So this is another thing we have to take care of in the solution. And how the problem is so given this format words given, say for example we are given this particular array which has three strings, ninja, samurai and ronin, and should return ninja, samurai and ronin. Okay, let's see a little bit enlarged version of this. All right, so this is the input to the array and should return ninja, samurai. So as you can see, it's just adding the word and before the last word. And if there are just two words, should return ninja and ronin. And if it's an empty array, should return empty string. Okay. And my code would be tested on this kind of things. That is uh, first argument 1, 2, 3, 4, and it returns 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so this is what we will take for testing in our code. Now let's get started. And this is the function in their editor inside the code side, but I will be coding it in Sublime and then later paste my code from Sublime to Codeverse. Okay. So let's just quickly point out three things that we have to. The last word should be separated by the word. So number 1 point, we have to consider the last word should be separated by the word and instead of comma. Number 2 is argument the method takes. Number 3, empty string value should be ignored. And number 4, empty arrays are null or hypothesis. Okay, makes sense. Now let's start the coding. So my function name was format words, and the text words is an array of strings. The last word, the method takes in an array of strings and returns a single formatted string. Okay, so let's first I'm defining a variable to hold my output, and that would be a string. And my first condition would be if these words is at all true, and then only my subsequent codes will work. So if words first, I will build a list of a Python list to hold all the words separately. So list, I'm going to use the filter function to filter the given argument based on if there is some words or not, or if there's empty string, etc. So I am going to use a lambda function. lambda x, let's do x not equal to lambda. Here the filter function, remember, takes in a function and a list. So this is our function, anonymous function, that is a lambda x not equal to true, and it takes the second argument as a list, so which is my original argument words. Sorry. Okay, let's quickly test one thing. I'm going to create another file. New file one. I created the test file just to test some of my codes. For example, I want to test, like I said, I have this 1, 2, 3, 4 as my test string. So let's do a equal to this. And what I want to test is if this produces the result that I want. Okay, so print, I want to print this whole thing. Okay, and I'm running this file. I have a keyboard shortcut for my Sublime, which is Control Alt N, and this is the output, and that's how I want it. So as you can see here, the input and output almost looks the same, but what these list and filter and lambda did is, if there was a empty string, that would not be returned. That's what this function, the filter function, is doing. That is, the filter function takes in a as its first argument, it takes in a function, and the filter function returns me only those elements for which this function returns true. So in this case, because each of these elements is not an empty string, so that's why my return from this whole lambda function is the original function. And then, of course, its output is put in the list function of Python to have me a properly formatted, to get me a properly formatted list. Now going back to my function, word, and now my word array is ready. Now I'm going to check. So because they would be separated by and, that means if I have just two words in the original string, then I would just concatenate them with and in between, for which I will need an if function. If len words less equal to 2, then give me the result as plus equal to, I'm going to use this string and with a space on both sides, and join that with my words. What this line will do, whatever the words, whatever the strings are available in this array, they will join them with these and string, and with, of course, with the space in front of and the space at the end of the and. And that's only for the case when the len of words is less than 2. And then my normal case, when the original argument has more than 2 words, is result plus equal to, I am going to join them with a comma dot join. And now I have to do some tricks with the slice notation of Python. So first I want to capture all the words which are not the last two words. So for example, if I go to my test bed here, let's do one thing. Let's print the original list is A here, slice notation -2. That means I will exclude the last two elements, and let's see what I get. Yes, so what this notation did is it excluded the last two element and returned me all the previous ones. So if I had another one, say for example, sum x, and run the file again, I will get as output sum x 1, 2. So that's what the slice notation is doing. It's returning me all the elements except the last two. Okay. Now, the join, and that's what I will do here, joining all the words excluding, sorry, all the words excluding the last two words -2. And then I have to join with that the last word, that is the last. I have to now capture the last two words as per these requirements. That is last two words only. The very last word would have an and before it. So the last to last, that is the last but one word, also will have a comma. So that's what I'm doing, bringing a comma in here. And plus and dot join. And now I have to capture the last two words. So just opposite to this slice notation. Now my slice will go on the other side. That is join words and -2 slice. And let's check if this slice words is giving me the output as expected. So let's see this. I put the slice here, and it should give me the last two words. Yep, I got the 3 and 4 after running this file. So that's what this slice at the end of this array notation is doing. Let's go back. I think I'm done, and now I can return the result. Now quickly check. I'm going to bring in this array here, define it here, and print format words and supply A. And now I'm running this file. Something went wrong. Return result. Oops, I made two mistakes here. So one is I missed the S here. So because of this, all my words below after this line was referring to my original argument and not this list. But the more importantly, the another one was this tab thing. I had an extra tab here. So okay, now it should run. Yep. So giving sum x 1, 2, 3, 4 as an input, I'm getting sum x 1, 2, 3, and 4. So that's how it should work. Let's now check it in Codeworks editor. That's the ultimate test. Okay, I just copied my entire function here, diff, all right, and pasting it here. Okay, now let's see. I think, yep, I just tested it. Click on this test button, and all the tests were passed. Now then attempt it. All right, yeah. So this should be an accepted answer because now I got all the basic test passed, and also I cleared all the 117 of 117 assertions. So yeah, this is my accepted answer. I will submit it later. Uh, Okay, so that was my solution. Now, after submitting this, I just Google search for a better solution or ways to refactor the code even more, and also went through some of the solution in CodeWars itself. And one more clever and more beautifully looking solution I found. So let's do that as well. This one definitely looks more elegant, and also uh, the overall number of codes, number of lines of codes is less. So this is my alternative solution. Uh, yeah, let's do that. Words, and so this one also uses this trick around the slice notation with the colon, but here I'll be using double colon and reverse the whole list of words given in the argument. Return. So first I am doing two things in a single line. I am reversing the this list given in the words, and also joining the reversed letters with a comma in between. Comma space dot join word for word in words, that is in the given words in the argument. And I also have to satisfy that there are indeed, I have to ignore the null values or empty strings. So if, and then I have to reverse this list. And here's a trick. So I'll be using the double colon and -1. Now, remember, I quickly will paste one reference to using the double colon uh, from the Python documentation. Let me paste it. So here's a rule that a list with this double colon -1, this is a shortcut for reversing the list. And this is from SciPython documentation. You can refer to this documentation here. And the rule is that if this, because we know that this whole slice notation goes by the rule of start, step, stop. So if the step is not given, it is equal to 1. This is a rule. I'm just reading it loud from this documentation. If the start value is not given, choose a default start as 0. And if the state is not negative, and if it is negative indeed, then the length -1 it is. And if the end value is not given, choose a default end as length if step is not negative. And if the step is negative, then -1 if it is negative. And so going by this rule, my start and end value is not given here. So that's why I'm choosing it by this rule, and that means that I have to reverse the list. I have to start from the end and then go backwards from right to left, and that will actually reverse the list. We can test it with our little code here. So let's print out I'll be printing this reversed list. So A, let's let's do the whole this thing. That is, I'll be joining the words and reversing the list. Of course, these words will be A or A. Actually, I'm just word for word in words if word. So here, this A is my list of words at the top. Okay, if I run this file, yes. So this is expected that what this code did is that it, let me zoom in a little bit. It reversed each of the letters of the words and added this comma with a space. And everything is reversed. So that's what we wanted. Now let's go back to our code. And so now I have reversed the list, but also I need to add the last comma should be an and, the word and. So I have to replace the last comma and then reverse the whole thing again. So let's do that. Okay. So here my list ends. I'm replacing the last comma, which means, and I'll be replacing, remember, I'm reversing here. I'll be reversing at the end of the code again. So to add the word and, I actually have to append the word reversed of and, which will be DNA. And because that DNA will be reversed again to the word A and D. It's pretty tricky here. DNA and just a single word. And then here's the last step, which I'm reversing this whole list after replacing the last comma again, so that I get back my original list. And okay, I also have to take care of this condition that if words at all, that if I have the words list at all, else an empty string. Okay, let's run it and see. Format words to, and what was our list? A. Yeah, this was our list. So let's do. I have to include in the print statement. Print. And now I'm running the file here. It indeed reversed the words, but it did not give me the end. So it's not, something is missed here. Let's check out word for word in words if word. All right, and replace. Oh, I think I have to replace only this, not the comma and the space, because it's reversed. So I think I have to delete this extra space here, and then DNA and space. And when it is reversed, it will be the space will come first, and it will become A and D. Let's see now. I'm running this file. Okay, that's the good solution. Yeah, this is working now. All right, so this is another way, and supposedly the better way to do the same problem. Thank you very much.